I think part of it really is just find a good mentor. John was a really good mentor to all of us and taught us a lot. So I think in your book, you mentioned that for the noobs. It's just find somebody that is doing the right things at work in sales that you want to do, that's having not just 1 month of success or 2 months of success, but continued success.
Yeah.
And just go figure out what they're doing.
Right.
And do what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, the behaviors and the attitude and the techniques and all that stuff is stuff you taught us at a really, really young, you know, coming in right out of college. But those transferred. Right. They transfer as you go and as you grow. And it's really, I remember coming in, you know, thinking in sales, well, gosh, I think I can make a lot of money here, and I was financially motivated. And you know, a year in, we were doing so well. We were outperforming anybody else, the people that were coming out of law school and what else. We were making a lot of money.
Welcome back to Noob School. This is where we interview successful business owners, and we dial it back to the beginning and figure out what they did to make their revenue grow. All right, welcome back to Noob School. Today I've got all-time favorite, one of the greats I've ever worked with, and a really good friend, Dustin Caudell. Welcome, Dustin.
John, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
I'm super excited about being here.
Absolutely. Well, Dustin is somebody I recruited right out of Clemson. He's a long line of Clemson Picas.
Exactly.
So
right.
crazy people.
Yeah.
Crazy people.
Good crazy.
Good. I would say a good kind of crazy, but crazy nonetheless. Craziest of the fraternities over there. But yeah, so delighted to have met you back then. And I'll never forget when I interviewed you. I think I already knew I wanted to hire you because you were at Clemson, you were from Greenville, you were a Pica. Some of the people that I already worked with us knew you, and they were like, "You're going to like Dustin." So I think I'll like him. And then I saw that you worked at a clothing shop in Clemson. So how long did you work there?
I worked there pretty much throughout the college tenure there, 4 years. It was good.
How did you get the job?
So I had a friend who had a job there that referred me in, and I went and met the guy that owns the shop, Steve Poteet. Great shop, M.H. Frank, still there. Go by there if you're in Clemson, best men's shop around.
Yeah.
And so got referred by a friend of a friend, and that's
You worked there 4 years.
4 years.
So unlike most of the people I was hiring, you had 4 years of sales experience.
I did.
And when he showed up, he was wearing some really nice shoes. Or I was wearing some shoes. One of us, was it me?
You were.
Yeah, I want to know what you thought of the shoes. Yeah, that was your big question.
Yeah, and they were Aldens.
Aldens, okay.
Yeah, they were really
memory.
good shoes.
Yeah. They take a while to break in, though.
They do.
That was my problem. They were. I was going through a clothes phase then. It didn't last very long, but it gave us something in common to talk about.
It did.
Yeah, so that's cool. And again, for the Noob School folks, I think getting a job, well before you're going to get your first sales job, getting a job in sales.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it gives you a huge leg up on the competition.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot in that little part-time job there. You had people coming in buying suits who were important people. And, when you were in college, you got to learn how to talk to them.
Yeah.
And sort of the, shoulder to shoulder, mano a mano, folks a lot older than you that you were talking to about whatever they did in their businesses. So all that was super helpful.
Yeah. In that situation, I mean, before long, you were the expert, and they were asking you for advice on type of suit and cut and pinstripes and all that stuff.
They were. Amazing.
That's amazing because that goes, something that we teach the noobs all the time. They struggle with, the equal business stature. They're used to thinking, well, I'm 22 and this guy's 50. It's like my dad's age, and you feel this, and you can't feel that. Mm-hmm. You have to get over that.
Right. You absolutely do. And the more you do it, the more you put yourself in the situation, the easier it is.
Yeah.
And you start to learn from them too, because they have interesting stories. All you have to do is ask them about themselves, right? Meet some really interesting people.
Well, you were particularly good at that always. You're always good at dealing with the high-level money people. That probably was helpful early on, was having all those discussions.
Yeah, when you look backwards, it probably was.
Yeah. Right. So you started with us 93, 94.
Yeah.
And you were an inside salesperson. and I think we gave you, was it Ohio?
You gave me the other part of California that Wetzel didn't have.
So was that northern?
I think he had northern, I had southern.
Okay. Well, that's, that's not bad.
No, not bad at all.
Weird time zone.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. I got to learn from him, the California pro. And it was really, I'll never forget. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity from John and from Larry to come in. And, how do you get into sales? Well, I already was in it. I liked it. And I majored in accounting and finance, and I always joked that I did enough of that I realized when I got out, I did not want to do that.
Right.
And I really enjoyed, sales at the clothing store. And I was thumbing through a book in the Clemson library where I didn't spend probably enough time. But I found a little book of the fastest growing companies in South Carolina, and DataStream was in there. And Larry was Clemson, he had Clemson PhD, right?
Yeah.
And so I sent a cover letter there, and that's how I got hooked up with you.
So he gave it to me.
He gave it to you.
See, that's another thing, Dustin. You did a little bit, accounting undergrad is so smart.
Finance.
Most of the salespeople don't understand this. I put it in my book, and I talk about it some. But of course, I didn't do it. But, if you want to get big money from a company or from a business owner, you need to understand their business and how it's going to make them money. And if you don't, then you're just some pesky guy saying, hey, you want to buy 2 caseloads of this stuff? I mean,
oh, yeah.
It's like I figured out how to change this process with this stuff and make you an extra $800,000 per quarter.
Yeah, it's so important, right? And so that's sort of as you get into enterprise sales, that becomes the most important thing. When I first started, you were such a great mentor with me and with Todd and with Pace and all the other folks that you recruited. But before you got to there, when we were selling sort of line level software, all those things in the Noobs book are super important. Just to show up, how to be a professional, right? You taught all of us that, like we were, coming in, and you taught us the importance of showing up, how to be a pro, how to look right, how to talk right, and the taping sessions. I still remember those. Having to bring the tape to your office.
Yes, I know that was
painful.
Tape. Painful.
Yeah.
It was painful if you had a bad tape, but you had good tapes.
And every once in a while, you could use the same one twice, and you wouldn't remember.
I know. It got so bad toward the end. They had so many reps, Dustin, and some of them talk so long. I'd do double speed. Just I'm like, you're fine. You go on. Well, that's cool, man. That's cool. So, but I think having a finance or accounting degree undergrad is really strong. Even better would be if you were like really into, let's say, lumber, or let's say sports marketing. Mm-hmm. If you had like an accounting and sports marketing double major, or one's a minor, and you went into sports marketing as an agent or something, and you understand the money part. I mean, it's doing something. And people talk about college today, how the old fashioned I'm going to go get a liberal arts degree and figure it out later. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, if it's not dead, it's not feeling so well.
Yeah.
People if they're going to go to college, need to have some purpose. They're getting ready for something.
That's right. Specialty, something that you're passionate about, something that you want to learn. The business background, at Clemson was really good. Finance, and did a little bit of accounting. Those were really good things to help me understand, just to be able to talk to other people about business, business owners, business department leaders in the business.
Yeah.
Those were all well-rounded skills to help me in sales a lot.
So we started at inside sales. This is the time I would say Dustin was at least playing the role of a noob. You're probably beyond a noob because you had 4 years.
I was a noob.
Okay,
I was a noob.
All right. So what was that like starting out?
It was exciting. It was scary too, because we were selling software. I didn't know a lot about software at the time, and I sure didn't know much about maintenance, right? And so those were things I had to learn a little bit about and get to know, like you were saying, what makes those things tick and why it's important in the business. So those things were exciting, but they were a little scary when you're coming in, trying to pick that up, and you're trying to do a good job at it. And anyway, you really have to have a lot of stick to it and a lot of work ethic and show up and really just make the calls and learn from the people you're talking to.
Yeah. And so how long were you in that role before you got promoted?
Oh, that's a good question, John. We were growing pretty quickly. So maybe a year and a half.
That's
2
pretty
years.
quick. And you went to manager or corporate?
Corporate.
Corporate.
So we went from there to selling bigger solutions, and then we had a small team of people selling bigger solutions, and me and Mike Cannon and Bradley and then Keith Smith and a couple other people.
So it's a good point for the noobs. Dustin was well prepared to come work at our company. We're selling software to maintenance departments. And he did well, did all the right stuff his first year and a half or two, and then got promoted. All of a sudden, he's an outside salesperson.
Yeah.
Makes more money, travels around.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Now, what's important about that for them to learn, because clearly they want to be on that path. You did the homework and picked a good company.
Yeah.
Company is growing fast, is more likely to promote people faster, more opportunities.
Absolutely.
And then you prepared yourself in college, and then once you got the job, you did the right things. And I can't remember all the great things you did, but if you ever did something wrong, I would have remembered it. Like if you were a jackass, or couldn't get to work on time, or did something really, you avoided all that and just kind of kept doing the right stuff, and then you got your promotion.
Well, I think part of it really is just find a good mentor. John was a really good mentor to all of us and taught us a lot. So I think in your book you mentioned that for the noobs. It's just find somebody that is doing the right things at work in sales that you want to do, that's having not just 1 month of success or 2 months of success, but continued success.
Yeah.
And just go figure out what they're doing.
Right.
And do what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And the behaviors and the attitude and the techniques and all that stuff is stuff you taught us at a really, really young, coming in right out of college. But those transferred. Right. They transfer as you go and as you grow. And it's really, I remember coming in, thinking in sales, well, gosh, I think I can make a lot of money here, and I was financially motivated. And a year in, we were doing so well. We were outperforming anybody else, the people that were coming out of law school and what else. We were making a lot of money, right? And that was pretty fun. And then fast forward a couple of years, you're flying around in planes all over the country, talking to other business people, and you're 24 years old.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
Or maybe even overseas.
Yeah.
I mean, I met you in France a few times.
That's
for
right.
For a deal. Michelin?
Yeah.
Michelin. Yeah, well, that's good, Dustin. I think it's so many great lessons from Dustin today. So pay attention. But one of them is finding people older than you. Let's just say it doesn't have to be older. It's usually older. But someone who's already at some place that you'd like to get to, owning a company, VP of sales, international sales, whatever it is, and see if they'll be kind enough to mentor you and just say, oh, don't do that, do this. I mean, for me, it's pretty easy to tell a noob how to get started. Mm-hmm. We've seen it so many times.
Yeah, super important. Once you find that connection, they're usually willing to help you, right? I mean, good folks are usually willing to help you, and just look at what they're doing and do the same thing, right?
So tell us about 24, 25 years old, and we did give you a different territory. I think this time it was Ohio.
Yeah, maybe so.
Because your girlfriend was going to school up there.
Yeah, now my wife.
Your wife now.
Wife. Indiana.
Indiana. Okay.
Indiana.
Yeah.
Indiana.
Now, where was she in school?
Michelle was in school at the University of Indianapolis, getting her occupational therapy degree, and they needed somebody to manage and sell in the Midwest, and I raised my hand.
Yeah. I took full credit for that.
I
pulled some strings, Dustin.
It was awesome.
Well, it's good. So what was it like going from, smiling and dialing, selling on the phone, to being in person with people wearing suits in conference rooms and such?
Oh yeah, it was a whole second wave of learning.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And you had a different instructor for that.
Oh yeah.
Scott, right?
Yeah. So, back on the gratitude side, we had great people coming into the company, and my next sort of mentor at DataStream was Scott Millwood, and he really taught me how to, work in an enterprise fashion and sell a big deal. Yeah. Right. And he taught me about value-based selling, taught the whole, our team. Mm-hmm. So we had a good little team and we were doing well. And then Scott came in and he organized us and taught us about sales process in terms of enterprise sales process, value-based selling, which you hit on already.
Yeah.
How do we help this customer? What questions do we ask? Like, what kind of problems is he having? How are we helping him solve his problems? And, how are we helping them either save money or make more money? And he was really instrumental in getting our small corporate sales team at the time dialed in on that. And so that was hugely important at that time in our growth, and that took off for us.
Yeah.
Right. So inside sales took off, and then splitting that into new prospect and abs really
that was
they
big.
were big catalyst, and then moving into the enterprise sales with that corporate sales team, they were all growing really, really fast, and that sort of leading up to the 2000 in that time frame.
What you just mentioned, we had a bunch of, I don't know, maybe it was, let's say 20 salespeople inside, and they all were calling new prospects and existing customers. And I'll never forget, our CEO used to complain that some of the people would call the prospects and they would never call the customer. And some of the people would just call the customer and never call the prospects. And we would try everything to make them call the correct mix. And finally, I don't know what genius came up with it, but it was like, why don't we just split them? The ones that like calling customers, let's do, And so we tried doing that. And the sales for those 20 people, well, we were able to hire 20 more people.
We were. 20
stayed with customers and 20 went to prospect, and the number just doubled.
Yeah, and if I'm remembering it right, I think me and JB were the first two.
Y'all tried it?
I was prospect and he was abs.
Okay, that's right.
And all of a sudden, it worked.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The experiment worked.
Were you still on inside then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because JB was one of those people who liked the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's cool. So how long in corporate sales?
So one of the things in the Noobs book and for the Noobs is picking the right company, and you already mentioned that. But the company was really growing, so it afforded me a lot of opportunity to grow with the company. And so you basically, in a company like that, you can write your own ticket if you're good at it, right? I mean, if you're good at selling and the company's growing, then the company's going to say, well, hey, are you interested in going to do this? And you're like, well, yeah, that might be interesting. I go do it. And so our inside business kept evolving, and we had great leaders there, managers there, great team members there. And then the corporate business kept evolving. And so the next step for me was managing a team of corporate salespeople there. So I was a regional manager for the Midwest. And
how old were you then?
Oh, that couldn't have been 1996, 1997-ish.
Like 27?
Yeah, 27, somewhere.
And you were a manager?
Yeah. Jeez. And we had maybe 1998, somewhere in there. And then we were adding great corporate salespeople, and we had promotions going on from inside sales to corporate sales. And I was fortunate enough to have a lot of great salespeople on that corporate.
Who was on your team? Who were some of the good ones?
Garrett, Sizer, John Ellison.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of really good people on that team.
Those guys are just still selling monster deals now.
Oh yeah.
Different companies.
Yeah. So that was what I did next after being a corporate sales rep. I was a corporate sales manager, and then was managing all of corporate sales in 2000.
Yeah.
So.
And then, weren't you still doing that when we sold?
So there's a lot of stuff.
We did iProcure, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. It was iProcure years.
Okay.
So I managed corporate sales in North America in like 99 to 2000. And then we went to iProcure, and I worked in iProcure for a couple of years, built a new division of DataStream, e-commerce division of DataStream, and then back into corporate sales leadership and corporate sales management as VP of sales when we were bought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we had a little left turn there with a little e-commerce division.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, but it was kind of crazy time.
It was crazy times, but it was really interesting. We were well positioned to take advantage of that MRO and all the spend for those guys, because we'd created this massive company that knew all those people that bought the stuff.
We had our product, as I recall, was used. Let's just say, 50,000 companies around the world used our product to manage their maintenance departments, and the collective amount of inventory that they purchased through our system and kept track of in our system was like $25 trillion.
It's massive.
It's this unbelievable number. And so we're trying to get our little piece of the rock.
So we were.
And I think, it's just the scale to make that happen is like a Google scale.
Yeah.
You got to have so much money. You got to have 10,000 engineers and so many servers, and I think we should next time we get the chance, we should outsource that to somebody and just take a sliver instead of trying to do it.
We did all right with it.
We did all right with it. It still works.
It works.
Yeah, there's a great story. We talk about equal business stature, particularly with a younger salesperson and an older kind of manager you're selling to, and how people need to get comfortable with that. And Dustin had a great example. I saw with my own eyes. So we fly up to Detroit, and we're meeting with, a Fortune 50 company that's a big supplier to automotive, Ford, I think. And the senior buyer in his suit, he's just like, hello, John. Hello, John. I give him my card. He goes, hello, Frank. He gives him his card. He goes, hello, Dustin. Do you have a card? And Dustin goes, nope. And the guy was just like, okay. And so the point is that Dustin did not, because of his age, he didn't cower and say, I'm sorry, I don't have one. I lost my cards, or I'm new, or I just got back from a trade. I mean, you could have people kind of back up and make all these excuses. He just said, no.
The honest thing was, I didn't have one because I was brand new in the division, and I didn't want to have to explain that. Right. And so I just said no and didn't explain.
But I think that going back to your experience in college at that clothing store helped you with being comfortable dealing with older people.
Mm-hmm. It certainly did.
So we sold the company in 2006. So that means you had like a 15, 16-year run?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you did a couple of things after we sold, and then you eventually joined me with an venture, and you ran sales for Foxfire for how many years did we do that?
Maybe 9. 8 or 9.
What? Wow. Well, it was we had some great experiences there too. We
We sure did. Learned a lot there.
Yeah, we did. I tell you, one thing I've learned is it's much easier to sell if you have like a bigger company with a lot of momentum.
Mm-hmm.
It's like stuff just kind of eases out of the woodwork.
Mm-hmm.
You have a little company.
Yeah.
It's like crickets.
Yeah, a lot more challenging when you're trying to sell something big from a smaller company because they want to know about your size and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
you don't have the if you've been in business 15 or 20 years, you have this big network of people that that everyone kind of knows you, and
right.
So anyway, it was. But again, it's a good way to learn because we had to hustle a lot more.
We did. We absolutely did.
And then you got a great offer, as I recall, from a company in the software space to run a team based on the West Coast. It included a global team. You had a guy in Singapore.
Yeah.
And anywhere else in
That's right. Yeah, we had, by the time I finished up there, we'd had partners and people in Singapore and in Europe and in other places in Asia and Middle East.
Yeah.
So all over the world.
So you were managing a global network of salespeople for this company
and partners.
And partners for like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Would that be similar to your experience? I mean, Foxfire would have been smaller. We had just partners you were managing for the most part. We had some salespeople. DataStream, you had lots of individual salespeople. This place was kind of a mix. Mm-hmm. What was that like?
It was good. So the sales in North America were primarily direct, and the sales in the rest of the world were primarily indirect through partners. So we had really good channel partners there that represented us in the local countries, and so I gained a fair amount of international experience there that I didn't have on the DataStream side. It was pretty much all domestic for me. I know you did some really good tours internationally, but I didn't have a lot of global experience at DataStream, and so I really got to work hard with those partners internationally and learn a lot about that. So that was really fun.
What are some of your takeaways for the Noob School in terms of working with international partners?
Yeah, so I think the biggest is always try to see things from their perspective, right? I mean, they're in different cultures and different places, and they operate in different ways, and you got to take the time to learn a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with a partner and their company in France and the people that they support, it's different than the U.S. and in Japan, or in Singapore. So, there are just nuances in how they do business, and I think you you don't know everything, so you got to continue to learn. And
Yeah.
I think those are the biggest
Okay.
things is really try to learn what you can from those key people.
And then overall, how do you feel about like when you took over the sales team to where you left it in terms of growth and everything, the company growth?
Yeah, really good. We did well. We really increased everybody's sort of throughput in terms of their averages.
Yeah.
We grew super. Yeah, really
Company
good.
grew pretty good?
Yeah.
Good. And so now that you've done that, you're kind of back in Greenville and you're doing some coaching and consulting around the area, I imagine. I don't know. But you're doing that while you're looking for your next kind of VP of sales kind of opportunity?
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life when I grow up.
Okay.
So one of the things that I learned is, it's really, and I was afforded great opportunities with John and with a lot of other folks, but, it's a lot about the people,
Yeah.
right? The business is about the people. It's also about products, but working with a great company with great people is really fun.
Yeah.
And those aren't super easy to find every day, right? You got to spend some time and make sure that, what you want to do and then who you want to work with. And so that's what I'm working on now, trying to figure out what I want to do next with the team of people I want to do it with next.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, you really, you've had some great experiences, but it's really only been with 3 companies.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of amazing.
It is sort of amazing. In today's world, you look at folks and they might have been with 15 companies, right? I've been with 3. Really, really pretty interesting.
Oh man, that's crazy. Well, let me ask you this: is there any head trash you can recall that you had when you were, coming up through this, where you thought something about selling or sales or managing, and you just were sure it was true, but then once you experienced it, you're like, oh, that was just head trash. That's not true at all.
Yeah, there's some really good ones, but I think one of the ones that a lot of good salespeople make are the idea that they have to try to sell all of them, right? You just get that in your,
Right.
you have some success and you believe that everybody should buy what you have.
Yeah.
And everybody should be a buyer, and it probably is furthest from the truth, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody needs what you have. Not everybody's ready to. Maybe they do need it, but they don't know they need it yet.
Yeah.
They're not quite ready
Yeah.
and don't understand it yet. So that was probably one of the biggest things is that later on you realize that you don't have to sell every one of them, and in fact you're probably making it harder on you if you're not doing a really good job qualifying and trying to pick the right ones.
Yeah, that's a great head trash. I had the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I used to feel like I was somehow failing every time I didn't close a new lead.
Why can't we sell all 100?
All of them. And Larry would say, how'd that call go? Oh, he's not going to buy it. Oh, you're going to get in trouble every time. And what we both learned is, there's 100 prospects. Maybe there's 11, if we're lucky, that are ready to buy.
That's right.
And let's just find those 11 real quick.
Right.
Get
That's
'em.
right. Work smart.
Work smart.
Right. Help. Those are the ones that need our help.
And then what would your favorite word be?
So I had a couple favorite words.
Okay, you can do that.
So I did a sales favorite word,
Okay.
just a blast from the past.
Yeah.
And it's a verb. It's a word. It's a made up word.
All right.
So when we started at DataStream, there was no Salesforce yet. There was no CRM systems. There were little things out there, and we had our own little database that I think maybe Will McEwen or somebody had made in Paradox. In Paradox. And so at the end, when you disqualified somebody or didn't sell them something, you sixed them.
Sixth. Yes, I remember that.
Sixth.
A deep 6, yeah.
A sixth.
Because they were like, a 1 was a customer, a 2 was about to buy,
Yep.
3 was a maybe, 4 was unqualified, 5 was a partner.
Partner.
Remember that?
I was a partner.
That was like a partner.
Yeah.
It's almost as bad as a 6.
Yeah, that's
we
right.
didn't care about partners.
And so when they didn't make it, you sixed them.
Yeah.
So that's my
That's
favorite
good.
sales word is
I
sixed.
love it.
A couple other words I like are privy
Privy.
and zeal.
Okay.
I like those.
Love that.
Privy. Be privy
So
to
privy
something.
to, in on,
Yeah. And on something.
zeal.
Zeal.
I like that. Do you play Wordle?
Michelle plays Wordle.
You gotta get on that.
She's much better than me. I help her sometimes, but she crushes it.
We do the Wordle every day. I do it, my wife does it, and my daughter Lizzie does it. And so that's kind of how we stay connected.
Yeah.
It's who does the Wordle first every day.
There's another one. Do you do Semantle? No. You got to try Semantle.
Wordle's all I can take on.
So I'm not that great at Wordle. I'm better at Semantle.
Okay.
So Semantle, you guess a word, and it tells you if you're hot or cold, closer to the word you're trying to get to.
Whoa.
And it keeps going, it keeps going. So I'm a little bit better than that.
How do you spell it?
I think it's Semantle.
Like semantic. Okay.
Yeah, semantics, Semantle.
I'll try that. And one more word, or is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Those are good words.
Zeal, privy, and sixt.
Okay. All right. At least lastly, for the Noob School folks, anybody who wants to get in touch with Dustin for any reason, how would they do that?
You can certainly find me on LinkedIn and connect, or you can reach out to me, dustin.caudell@gmail.com.
Gmail.com. Okay.
Dustin.caudell@gmail.com.
Well, thanks for being with me on the ride so far.
Yeah.
We got a lot more to do.
Ton more to do.
Don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
But
that's part of the adventure.
yeah, we'll have to have you come back and we'll do a drill down on like sometimes we'll do like deal analysis and stories and such. So we'll have you back for story time.
Good.
All right.
I'd love to. Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Dustin.
it. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you.
All right.